What's up, everybody? Malik Atala here. Today is my next episode in my Spahn Ranch kind of series. Last episode I did number 1. This is number 2. I have a few videos on Spahn Ranch because so many things happened there. Manson's hero was Hitler. He said that Hitler was a tuned-in guy that leveled the karma of the Jews. He was a very evil guru and a cold-blooded mass murderer. At Spahn Ranch, they lived as freely as possible. Charlie used drugs in his special ceremonies like belladonna. They smoked hashish and marijuana, took psilocybin, mescaline, and a little opium. The most powerful drugs Charlie used was acid. People on acid would trip out. Their conception of reality would change. Frequently, what would happen during an LSD trip with family members was called an ego death or a mock death. Charlie would talk about death while people were tripping, and they would experience, quote, death on acid, where you give up everything, including your name. And when you woke up, Charlie Manson would give you a new name. Lynette got the name Squeaky, Susan got Sadie Glutz, Diane Lake got Snake, Nancy Pittman got Brenda McCann, Patricia got Katie, and Leslie Van Houten became Lulu. Charlie would personally administer the acid in his followers' mouths, but when he took some, he would take less to stay in control. He insinuated ideas in his followers' minds, and that he was Jesus Christ, the second coming of him. He never said out front that he was Jesus, but instead he let everyone come to their own conclusions about the matter. This is where the manipulating was brilliant. Later he said he'd been paying for everyone's sins for 2,000 years, that he went on the cross and died for everyone's sins and it didn't do a fucking bit of good. While everyone was high on acid, he would even stretch his arms out as though he was really being crucified. And to his followers, it was very realistic and also very eerie. He said the right things at the right time, and he became an object of worship. He often would talk about the significance of his name, Manson, that he was man's son, the son of man. Sandy Good once said, "We've seen what's possible. We've seen Charlie do things that no other human being has ever done, or no human being has ever revealed he can do these things. We've seen miracles. We've seen him breathe on a bird and bring it back to life. We've seen him jump over things, high things, all kinds of things." His disciples, they wanted to be like Charlie, not like him, but that he was the one to be. Gypsy was from a Jewish family. She lost her mother in World War II. She's a Holocaust survivor. She was hidden in a safe house and adopted by her mother Jean in the United States. So she was the first child Jewish refugee that came to the U.S. Her adopted mother got cancer and she was sick for 5 years. After, she took her own life feeling like a burden, and Gypsy was estranged from her stepfather. So at 17, she was on her own. She had nobody. Music was a part of her life because she grew up playing the violin. She lived in the music. When Jefferson Airplane said, "You better find somebody to love," she thought that that's what she would do. By the way, Charles Manson moved his family to LA in autumn of 1967. At Spahn Ranch, Manson's family was completely isolated from outside influence, which worked to Manson's favor in his programming with them. In the early and gentler days, the philosophy was to shed your ego, to give all your fear up to Charlie. At first, it was an adolescent's paradise, no responsibilities, no decision-making, because Charlie handled it all. He said, "If you give up your life to me figuratively, you won't have to worry about anything anymore." Another family member was Paul Watkins. He watched a black bus go up and down a canyon, and some girls picked him up hitchhiking, which turned out to be some of Charlie's girls, and they were attractive to Paul. So about a month later, he was walking up Topanga Canyon, and he needed a place to sleep. So he knocks on a door, Dennis Wilson's door, and Charlie's girls open up. A big puff of weed smoke hit him in the face, and he had sex with Diane Lake and Nancy Pittman. They made him feel welcome. In the next episode, I will talk about how the Manson family lived at Dennis Wilson's house in Topanga Canyon for a long time in the early spring and summer of 1969, when they first came to Los Angeles. Meanwhile, at Spahn Ranch, though, Manson's sense of power was getting stronger. A quote from Paul Watkins: "I lived with Charlie for 2 years. I know Charlie. I know him inside and out. I became Charlie. Everything I was Charlie. There was nothing left of me anymore. And all of the people that are in there, there's nothing left of them anymore. There's nothing left of them anymore either. They're Charlie too." TJ the Terrible, another follower, said, "I am Charlie. When he dies, I die. I gave up my personality and became what he showed me I can be. Total love." Sandy Good is a prime example of the conditioning process that Manson had over his family. She said, "Charlie said that fear was love. It's a matter of being on top of your fear, right on top of your fear. Because when you don't care, when you don't give a damn, you can do anything, whatever you can imagine to do. Whatever people have been asking for, we'll give it to them." Manson and his family would go on garbage runs to support themselves. They would get in a bus and sing songs. They would go behind grocery stores and dumpster dive for food. They would get fresh vegetables and wash them down to eat. They would box up the food, and they would take it back to Spahn Ranch. Nobody ate until Charlie said so. Charlie controlled when and how they did things. They would all gather around and listen to Charlie play his songs, and they were very compelling lyrics. To look inside yourself and see what you're all about. Then he'd talk about life and how we should all be one. Then they thought that he was the ultimate underdog, that he had been stepped on all of his life trying to survive. And he got in trouble with the law for just trying to survive. And he just gave himself up to them. Every bit he gave total affection and love. He had a very strong draw at first, and the followers were his people. They were all captivated. He was a genius at manipulation. A quote from Vincent Bugliosi: "Manson has frequently said that he is merely a reflection of what other people want to see in him. If a new girl joining the family was looking for Christ, a Christ figure, he'd be her Christ." Thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Let me know if you got to the end, because like, comment, subscribe, and favorite. I need followers, subscribers. Hook me up, guys.